Okay, this is a brief film short that will help you understand why humans, why humans are such good consumers. Okay, so I'm going to play this in only a couple minutes, but I think you'll like it because it kind of sets the mood for what we're going to talk about. So if this helps you understand your human origin, that's a good thing. Here we go. We're switching to PowerPoint. The reason why I showed you the film short there is because when I saw it at first, that was very comical, of course, but it's really depressing because I felt like it was the human species and the evolution of the human species and the mindset of the human species all encapsulated within a 2-minute short. The reason why I showed it to you was because humans are fantastic at consuming products, and we do it in a thoughtless way. So most of us, when we start consuming at a young age, we never stop. And we do it on autopilot to the point that we become part of the problem, not the solution, because we all know that we all must consume lots of products in order to keep the economy going and float. And we know that the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which is all based upon consumable products, if that even changes a millimeter or a millisecond as far as measurement, we know that it throws the entire Wall Street stock market into a downward spin, because the majority of our economy is all based upon disposable and consumable products. Let me put this in my pocket so I can trade it around. So you can see on the first slide here, it says, psychology of consumerism, you're just a number. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're unique as an individual, or do you feel like you're similar to other people? You used that previous film if you want as an example. How similar are you as far as a human member of the species to other people that you know? Would you say that you're unique or that you're the same? Anybody got a thought? Raise your hand if you think you're unique. You're a unique member of the human species. Okay, is that an RNA or DNA question, or is that a behavioral question? If you think you're the same behaviorally compared to each other, raise your hand. Well, there we go. That's true. So that's really what this means, is that we're not alone, but we are just a number. And the reason why we're a number is because we're very similar to other members of the human species. Now let's see. Okay. So the good news is you're not alone. The first thing that we want to know about humans is that we have very predictable behavior. We all think of ourselves as complex, but the reality is that our behavior is more complex than other animals, or mammals. At least that's what we think at this point. But the problem is humans are not very good at measuring other animal or mammal behavior. For instance, we don't know how extensive the dialect is of whales yet. We're still trying to figure out what the extensive whale sounds actually mean when it comes to their behavior. Same with dolphins. So we like to think of ourselves as unique behaviorally, but actually we're just more complex. At least that's what we think we are. But we're full of repetitive behavior and repetitive patterns of behavior. So if you look at the disclaimer, this is kind of what an attorney would write at the bottom of the presentation. Disclaimer: you are a composition of predictive behavioral patterns, influenced, shaped, aggregated, and targeted by marketers to manipulate and control your purchase behavior. That probably is the most succinct definition you'll ever see of what the intention is of how companies and other big industry views you. It's nothing personal, but you are an aggregated group of data that people mine according to your behavior patterns so that they can better target you as consumers, so that they will pick your pockets better and more effectively and more efficiently. Okay, so obviously there are some benefactors to understanding our behavior as far as a pattern and an aggregated group. They are the Fortune 500 companies of the world. These are some of them. And of course, the top 1% controls over half of the world resources. That's actually a bold statement. They actually control more than that. But again, it's nothing personal directed to you. But if you buy a new Samsung phone, you are buying a new Samsung phone because it has been marketed to you based upon your set of behaviors of who you identify with, what you think as far as your peers. For instance, if there's a new feature on the phone, do all your other friends have to have it? How the actual phone is sold to you, how you're influencing that buying process. That is all determined and figured out ahead of time with no chance involved. So we like to think of ourselves as these independent, autonomous consumers who are making decisions without influence, but in reality, we're more like drones or people on an autopilot, heavily influenced in a predictive manner in regards to what type of purchase behavior you're going to make. Next one. That's it? Let's see here. No, quicker. Next one, okay. Down, up. Down. Okay. So what are consumers? If we were to define consumers, we have to look at probably a set of questions you have to ask yourself. And the question is, how do you fit in these set of questions? Consumers are predictive behavior patterns. That's all you are. And the reason why that's important to know is that whatever behavior that you demonstrate as far as an individual, it's going to be repetitive in your peer group, or how you're aggregated with other groups of people that have similar behavior. So, as an example, how many people have rituals or behavior that they start in the morning when they get up? Anybody have any particular patterns that they follow, rather? You do? How about coffee? Anybody go out and get a cup of coffee at a certain time in the morning? Or on the way to class, perhaps? I'm sure Starbucks loves everybody here. So the reality is that when we build routines in our life, that becomes part of our predictive behavior. Why do we have routines? Because routines are comfortable. And they're great for advertisers and marketers because the more our life is routine-oriented, the more the patterns are distinct. And the more the patterns are distinct, the more we can aggregate consumers together and group them. So let's look at another thing. So consumers aggregate a sense of financial personal data. That's all you are. They don't even know you. Samsung would not know you by name. They wouldn't care to know you by name. What they care to know is how do you fit within their schema of thought in regards, or their schema of marketing and advertising in regards to how they're going to sell a product to you. So you become a number, a crunch number in an aggregate set within a group of people, and then they go to work on figuring out how to influence you. So let's say that your particular peer group are intellectual nerds who love to spend time doing computer games. How do you think that Samsung may influence you if that's one of the groups that you are affiliated with in regards to influencing your future purchase decision making? What would they do? Anybody have any ideas? You're with your group of nerds, and you're on a computer game, and you're playing a computer game till 5 in the morning. What might they send you? Or how might they influence you if they know that that's what you're doing? Anybody have any ideas? Advertisements. Those wonderful pop-ups, right? What Google does now is they track what you're searching, and then they actually present that information back to you, usually at the bottom of the screen or to the right of the screen, within these ad windows, because Google is very intelligent through their AdWords and other programs to capture your data and re-expose it to you. So it's nothing personal again, but you are simply a number within an aggregated set of data based on your financial and personal information. So the main thing that a consumer is, and why we call consumers is because they consume. Why are consumers great consumers of disposable goods? And why do we spend so much of our disposable income on disposable goods? Anybody have an answer for that one? Why do we shell out so much money on disposable products? Any thoughts? Throwaways, things that you use, you consume quickly. How much of your budget goes toward that? Anybody know? How much they spend? Any idea? Half? A third? Huh? Half? How much money do you spend on disposable products or consumables? Things that, like, go to the grocery store, you consume and so on. Half of your income, maybe? It's actually more than half. So it's a big portion of our economy. So who you hang out with and how your peer groups and other people that you affiliate with demonstrate the same types of behavior become your affinity. And your affinity is well known by marketers and advertisers. And of course, the holy grail nowadays is no longer demographics, psychographics, but it's behavioral choices and patterns. The more we know your behavior, the more I can predict what you're going to do. I used to have a company called Behavior Labs, and we used to actually mine data. What we would do is we put log information through our algorithm, and it would, through a set of weighted variables, determine your personality type and probably what you were leaning toward as far as a purchase decision based upon your grammatical use of word structure within sentences. That I could take probably 3 or 4 paragraphs of information to tell you what your personality is, just by your word choice and your word order. So demographics are great, psychographics are fine, but the behavioral patterns and choices are the predictor. So we are shaped from an early age, we're conditioned according to purposeful efforts by the advertising marketing industry at an early age to begin to buy products. And sometimes it's not us that are influenced, but the person who is going to make the purchase decision will have us influence first, so we put leverage back on the parent. So when you're a young teenager and you don't have enough money for a new iPhone, what do you think the advertisers are doing? They're trying to influence you to put pressure back on your parents because they know that you don't have the money, but they know the purse strings are held by the parents. So what type of advertising do you think they do to you? Young kids. They show a bunch of kids in a group having a grand time. It happens to be all your age group doing the same exact behavior that you're used to doing. And the first thing they do is they look at you and feel like you are an outcast for not having this particular phone. You're not only an outcast, but you're not in the popular group. You're not only in the popular group, but you're behind the times. And if you want to be in the popular group, if you want to be successful, by God, you better go talk to your parent. Because your parent needs to get you that phone soon, because otherwise you're going to be left behind. Anybody seen commercials like that? They don't do it verbally, they do it non-verbally. See if I can get the next slide correctly now. Okay. How's that? Okay, so consumer composition has historically always been within three groups. If you look at demographics, that has been around probably since the 1900s, maybe 1800s, maybe back as far as the 1700s. I'm not sure. Advertising has been around for a long time. But determining people's gender, ethnicity, age, income, marital status, religion, whatever you want to determine your basic slicing and dicing of who you are, it's easy to come by. That's old hat. That's easily done through voter registration and all sorts of things. And then of course there's psychographics, which have been around less long as far as a period of time. And that's more on personality, values, opinions, etc. Anybody ever get phone calls at nighttime at terrible times of night where people are doing an opinion poll? Anybody get those? Say, we only need a couple minutes of your time. Please let us ask you a few questions. Of course, everybody hangs up and says no, right? Or how much are you going to give me? I always ask that question, and they usually hang up on me. But people are constantly trying to get in your head to determine what makes you up as far as your composition. What happened early on is that some advertisers and marketers determined that it was a great reflection of people's personality to determine what type of magazines they subscribe to. How many people think there's a difference between gun and field or field and gun if you're a gun owner versus if you're getting a magazine subscription by the Sierra Club? Do you think that's a difference as far as personality? Sure. And so just by the type of items that you subscribe to, give a glimpse into the type of personality that you represent. So attitudes, interests, lifestyle is all part of the psychographics, and that's the second dimension in regards to understanding how to better target you. The Holy Grail, of course, that has been a part of marketing and advertising target history has been what you're actually doing in regards to concrete, rubber meets the road purchase decision making. So since most consumers now are buying products online, especially in your age group, versus going down to a store and shopping, because people like to price compare through all the different comparative engines or the engines that consolidate information. So every time you click on something, there is click software that we used to use that actually determines what you're actually clicking on. Not only what you're clicking on by keystroke, but also what images or pages you're spending time on. We used to use software that actually monitors your cursor to determine how much you're hovering on a particular image, or hovering as you begin to read, because some people will scroll as they read. How much time you're spending going from one page to the next. What is your sequence and order of pages that you go to? What page do you opt out? And at what point do you make a purchase decision? And then comparing that data, aggregating it to everybody else and determining how to better mine that data so they can better target you and determine what page views you need to see in sequence so that you make more purchases. And that's all being done behind the scenes, online, all the time. Amazon's very good at that too. So, since so much emphasis is going online, product purchases online are becoming more and more important as far as click pattern tracking. And of course, the next holy grail, since some people still go to big box stores as well as other places to shop, is to look at how we can capture more data if you're actually using your feet to go into a physical store. So, we have the psychographic data. There's your the demographic data. There's your psychographic data over there. More influence in regards to income, values, et cetera, and how that mixes with demographic data. Then we have the behavioral data that deals with attitudes and predispositions and getting into your head of what you think and the type of values that you possess, what you like, what you don't like. And of course, we have all sorts of elaborate software now that mines data in regards to where you go into the site, how you come out, what your process is, et cetera. So you can see that we've gone from the simple to the more complex and more sophisticated, and most of it's all being software driven. And there's very sophisticated software that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and that helps you mine this. So the holy grail in the future is the overlap of the target. What we care about is your demographic, psychographic, and behavioral history, and where that overlaps. Because if we start aggregating that data, it becomes more and more accurate. And so if our target is determined based upon all that information, your affinity groups, how to better target you, we're going to have a lot of data on you by the time that we get to the third sequence of overlaps. So all these spheres of information are being collected on you, and the holy grail is to make that target area, those overlap areas, extremely accurate. And the more we mine data, and the more we sample data, the more we determine your behavior, the more accurate our data becomes. The more accurate our data becomes, the better we're able to reach you and determine how to expose you to certain types of ads and marketing. So nothing is by chance again. Okay, how many people when they go into big box stores, anybody still go into physical stores, or are they shopping all online? People go into physical stores? It's kind of hard to buy virtual groceries. Anybody tried that? Virtual food doesn't taste very good. So you actually have to go into a physical place unless you want to go to Vaughn's and they deliver. But next time you go to a big box store, see if you can find a place in the store itself that has a blank area where a security dome or camera, or what they call a tinted piece of glass at the top, does not see you. If you go into a Walmart today, there's not one place in the store that a security camera cannot track you. And it's not done for security, although shoplifting is a lot of money to big box retailers. It's done for the purpose of using software to track what you actually do as far as your actual foot patterns. So think of yourself as on a journey in a big box store. You enter the store and you begin to walk. Why do big box retailers care about what path you take and what aisle you go down first, and what aisle you go down second? Why do they care? Anybody have any idea? Why would you? Right. So they want to know, why are you taking that path when somebody else has the same demographic and psychographic profile is taking a different path? And so what is the difference? When they start determining differences, they can also determine how better to lay out their store. If they lay out their store better, chances are you're going to take a path that is more productive to buying more products while you're in the store. So not only are they tracking you, they're tracking you as you come in. They're doing it through facial recognition software. They're using it through pinning, the type of clothes that you actually wear. They're tracking your foot traffic pattern as you go through the aisles. And then when you get to an aisle, what about this wonderful image over here that says self-tracking pattern? Why is that all green? Anybody have an idea of what they're actually looking at when they're looking at you in a shelf area or area that has certain products? Why is that colored the way it is? Anybody have an idea? No ideas? What's that? Yeah. Exactly. It's through IR or heat registration. They're actually looking at what you're touching. And by looking at what you're touching, they're determining how to better place product in regards to shelf location. So obviously up in here, if they're getting more purchase decisions right here, where people are buying more product, and they know that because of the location of how many SKUs are being turned in that area, they're going to look at that area as a premium location. And they're probably going to figure out a way to put more products or their best products in that area, because that's where they know that they're going to get the most focus in regards to product selection. There's your foot traffic pattern, by the way. You see the overlap? They're looking at, okay, well, that's the way people are going. So do we have an impediment with what the aisles are laid out? Do we have an impediment in regards to making it more difficult for a consumer to get to point A to point B before they make a purchase decision? And again, we're looking at tons and tons of aggregated data. We're talking about lots and lots of data that's sliced and diced. The other thing too is that what if your Campbell's soup, and you have the distinctive red colored label with the white in the center and the red at the bottom, and you're finding that according to your shelf placement, and anybody seen Campbell's soup, how much space it takes on a shelf? Anybody trying to buy one type of soup out of the Campbell's soup selection area? How hard is that? It takes me like 10 minutes. I'm looking for like cheddar cheese soup, and they all look the same. You know, it drives me crazy. Does anybody drive you crazy looking at a place? So if Campbell's soup found that they were selling more product that had the same similar packaging in this particular area, what might that tell them? If they're worried or concerned about how many of their soup cans that they're selling per month on that particular retail market shelf, what is that going to tell them if they're selling, if there's more attention in a particular area, and assuming that all their cans are similar? What is that telling them? Think of marketing, marketing 101. What's it telling them? Ideas? Yeah. Nope. No ideas? No guesses? It could be the same brand people prefer. It could be the fact that their eye is drawn to the edge of the shelf. Sometimes you'll see e-tailers or retailers change the order of their product and actually put higher volume movers in a particular area that's close to the eyesight of the individual that are looking based upon your height. And sometimes they'll purposely put it next to a competitor's product because there's less static or less clutter. So if you're a person who wants to sell a new product at Costco, what do you have to go through? Anybody know what you have to go through to get a product at Costco? Anybody ever read anything on that? Well, first you have to prove to Costco that you can do a certain number of turns. That your product has already been in the market. Your product already does a certain amount of sale volume. And what does Costco do when they do a trial period where they put your product in a particular area and they introduce it as a new product? What does Costco guarantee you as a product manufacturer? Anybody know what they guarantee you? Absolutely nothing. They tell you you're on a trial basis, and that if your product doesn't do a certain number of turns within 30 days, they're going to ship them back to you in a big box, and you're going to have to eat the entire cost and reimburse them for all the money that they already paid you. What else does Costco do? Let's say you're doing really well. You've got the best organic honey in the business. And you not only have a great section, but you're doing the turns that makes Costco happy. You're making them money, they're making their margin, and they're happy. What does Costco do next since you're doing so well? Same thing Walmart does. What's the Kirkland brand do? It makes another version, exactly. They knock off exactly your particular product, put a different label on it. Now they say they have the best organic honey in the business. Not only is it the best, but they discount it so that you can't compete with them. They have a price margin where they actually figure out what the margin needs to be to divert the consumer to buying their Kirkland product, because their margins are better. They're getting contract manufactured for them in much larger volume than you could ever manufacture your organic honey in. So what happens to your product sales? Down the toilet. Not only down the toilet, but it's highly likely that Kirkland brand is going to knock you off, and then you'll end up getting your products back in a box and have to reimburse Kirkland, and probably put you out of business, by the way. So there's a lot of risk when it comes to product placement, consumer buying behavior and habits, but nothing, again, is by chance. Everything is by purpose. Product packaging the same way. We talked about that. Where do people look first? Where do people touch first? What color do they recognize? Is the type style correct for the consumer that identifies the product? All of that is determined through actual studies of the product on placement as well as in focus groups. So I hope you're beginning to get the idea that you're being set up as consumers and nothing is by chance. So where's the future? Well, we have a wonderful thing called GPS tracking, right? Satellite. Anybody know that if everybody was to shut off their cell phone right now, could satellites track you? Sure, there's a built-in mechanism within your cell phone where satellites actually keep track of you even when your cell phone's off. You'd actually have to disable your cell phone a certain way in order to prevent the satellites from tracking you. So where's the Holy Grail? Let's say that you are a big box retailer and you want to sell more consumable products to your consumers who are always shopping in your store. But not only that, you want to know more information about them because you already know that you have their demographic, psychographic, and behavioral data. You've got their purchase history. You know what kind of products they're buying rather, because they can track that according to who you are, according to if you're using a Visa or a MasterCard, they can track your purchase history and match that up to your data. What else, what other dimension could GPS possibly do? You're walking around the store with your cell phone, and they're tracking where you're going, right? They're tracking how much time you're spending standing still versus walking. Cameras are telling them some of that information. What happens when you leave the store and you get your cell phone on? You're cruising out with your cart. What are they doing? They're tracking you. They're tracking you to your car. They're determining where you're parking. And in the future, they're going to be determining what kind of car you're driving. They're going to actually be using Google GPS satellite by taking actual pictures of your car. In the future, beyond that, they're going to be pinging you and tracking you all the way home. And they'll be using Google satellite again to determine where you live, what type of home you live in, what type of shape your roof is in. Maybe you need a roofing job. And they're going to be determining different ways to upsell you. So in the future, data and data mining is going to be very mobile and fluid. Nobody really is safe. I mean, you can throw away all your electronics or you can live in a wired cage, but that's only going to get you so far. Because as soon as you step out in public, cameras are everywhere. And they're not there just for security. They're there to identify who you are, what you're doing, where you're going, and how to better sell products to you. That's the real key. Okay, so why do we care about any of this? Because if you continue to be a typical consumer in your aggregated set of data, and your behavior continues to be the same with your affinity group, and you're continuing to be live your life on autopilot, buying products like everybody else, falling in the same trap as most other consumers, to where Fortune 500 companies are making money on you, not because they care about you, but because it lines their pockets better. What is the implication to the use of resources at the same rate that we're currently using them? Well, here's some great examples, right? Does the United States use more disposable product per capita compared to the rest of the world? We do. And we do it by not a short margin or a small margin, by a large margin. If anybody ever gone to a dump and seen how much trash is there? I've actually been there at several landfills, and some landfills are so overloaded they close them and build a new one. But we're talking about acres and acres and tons of products that are still being thrown away and not recycled. So the world lives on disposable products. Companies live on disposable products. What can you do as consumers if you don't want to be a typical consumer and you want to have less of a negative footprint on Earth? Anybody have any ideas? What can you do to be a non-typical consumer? Ideas? Buy local. Buy local. Very good. Buy local. That breaks the back of some of the larger entities. I always get a kick out of when you go to Vons and they say locally in their produce section, they say locally grown. And if you ask the produce guy what that means, they'll say that means regional, like in California or on the West Coast. That's their version of local. So everybody defines it differently according to marketing. So what else besides buying local? What else can you do to break the backs of Fortune 500 companies and become a non-typical consumer so that we don't end up destroying the rest of the earth that we have left here? What else can you do? How can you make better purchase decisions without falling into the trap of how advertising marketing industry is? Research, right. Don't do impulse buys. The worst thing you can do is fall in the trap of being on autopilot, being influenced by the television ads, running out and buying something without thinking about it, because what have you done? You simply fed the engine of what the Fortune 500 marketing agency and advertising agency has fed you. And you've fallen in the trap of being a predictable consumer without any significant thought before your purchase decision. What else can you do? Non-typical consumer. You want to make a difference. Yeah.
Boycott.
Boycott. Okay, how would you boycott? Get something specific.
Don't use necessary products.
Don't use necessary products. So you find a company who is using child slave labor in India, right, in their packaging, and you decide not to use them. So how does that work for larger entities like Procter & Gamble? How many product brands does Procter & Gamble own? Anybody know? Oh, hundreds of brands. Brands that you wouldn't even think of. I encourage you to do some research on some of the Fortune 500 companies to find out how many brands they actually have. So one of the problems nowadays is that we talk about antitrust problems with certain companies owning too much of a particular market, but we have mega giant corporations that own so many product lines like Nike's. How many product lines does Nike own? How many companies does Nike own? They're not just in running shoes. They own lots of companies. In fact, there's a special one and a KPBS on that. So it's hard. The problem is, it's a great thought about boycotting, but the question is, what do you boycott? Who do you boycott? How do you really make an economic difference? What can you do as far as lifestyle to be a non-typical consumer? What can you do as far as lifestyle? Here's your life right now. You're all students, and you have your life. What can you do right now in your life to be a non-typical consumer as a student? Thoughts? You're all sitting here. You all got great brains. Otherwise, you would be UCSD. You'd probably be at San Diego State. I was San Diego State. But you're intelligent people. So what can you do now to be a non-typical consumer as far as your lifestyle or behavior patterns? We talk about research. What else can you do? Yeah. Buy reusable products. Make sure that you actually have apps when you go to a grocery store that tell you about that particular product and what's behind that product and how much human energy went into the production of that product. So you could literally walk down the grocery aisle and determine which particular product you're interested in by SKU, according to which particular product perhaps has less of a ecological footprint on how it was manufactured, produced, or how far it came by transportation. So there's actual technology aids that can help you with that. What else can you guys do? You guys got busy schedules, you're going to class, you're buying your coffee 3 times a day, 5 times a day. What else can you do as far as your lifestyle? Anybody walk, or does everybody drive here? How many people have cars? How many people use their cars all the time? How many people ride their bike to work? I don't know this already too. So the way the campus is laid out, and how difficult parking is anyway, what's wrong with riding your bike? What's wrong with walking? What's wrong with skateboarding? What's wrong with going to a different place to buy something than what you normally buy, especially if that particular entity that is selling that product happens to be more environmentally friendly? What's wrong with it? The thing that's going to be your enemy is inconvenience, because you guys are all busy. Nobody wants to be inconvenienced. And again, the marketing and advertising industry depends on that. They know that you would rather go down to a local store that's closer to your home to buy certain products than go further away. Any other ideas on how we can conserve resources through lifestyle changes as a non-typical consumer? Yeah. Prepare your own food. Exactly. Prepare from scratch. How hard is that nowadays? You can do shortcuts. I can give you a secret. Trader Joe's sells a vegetarian rice. It's a Japanese rice, right? So I buy the Japanese rice with my wife, and we buy the meatless orange chicken. It tastes just like orange chicken. I swear. You fry that stuff up, it tastes just like orange chicken, but it's made out of tofu. We throw that together, and we have a 5-minute meal, and it costs us probably a quarter of what it would if we had bought something already prepared in each of its ingredients. Does it mean that you actually have to go out and harvest the peas and the carrots out of your garden, and then go out and harvest the rice, and then maybe go out and kill a chicken, that's not practical. But there are ways that you can still maintain a convenient lifestyle while making better purchase decisions and saving money, right? How many people have ever taken a cooking class? Did you learn anything from your cooking class? 6 years ago, you already forgot. Your mother counts, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a cooking class, a basic cooking class that teaches you how to prepare food in an economical way, but also in an environmentally sensitive way, is a great way to become a non-typical consumer. What else can you do? do you want to become a non-typical consumer? What are you going to do after you graduate? Are you going to fall in the ranks and go to work for a Fortune 500 company doing the same thing as everybody else does? What do you want to do? What could you make a difference after you graduate? What kind of lifestyle could you have after you graduate? Dentistry, fixing people's teeth for free? No, not for free. That'd make a difference. Yeah, okay, let's use that example. What kind of dentist could you be that would be non-typical? That would be better for the environment? Think creatively. Clinical's free. Great idea. What else? Travel. You could travel, perhaps go to other countries that need dentistry more than cosmetic surgery here or cosmetic whitening in the United States, right? How many ads do you think on television about whitening per day? Oh, God, I get so tired, right? Use a crest strips because it's better than surgery. It's just all bleach. I mean, bleach is bleach, right? It's like you put it on your teeth enough, they're going to be whiter, they're going to fall out. Right? So, good idea. Okay, dentistry. You can convert, let's talk about other particular occupations. Anybody else have an occupation in mind, but how they can convert that occupation to something better than doing it traditionally? How about biochemistry? What can you do with biochemistry? How can it be different than working for a biotech company? Helping them get a new patent on a new gene sequence. What else can you do as a biochemist that would be more unique? Any ideas? What other occupations are you guys going to do when you graduate? Go to work at Trader Joe's? What do you guys want to do? Thoughts? Ideas? None of you have an idea what your occupation is going to be? That's pretty sad. You know what that means? Is you're all going to head back to your parents' house, which is not a good idea. So a really bad idea. What's your idea? You're working for Milton. What do you want to do?
Probably research.
Research, okay. So what kind of research can you do that would be non-typical, that would be good for the environment and be non-typical consumer?
Coral reef ecology.
Coral reef ecology, great. What percentage of the coral reefs are now completely decimated in Australia, or the Great Barrier Reef?
Like 90%.
Yeah, it's well over half now. We're losing coral reefs at a very, very high rate because of temperature and salinity changes. Great idea. So the question, though, is that with anything like this, is that would you be so depressed after you found out the implications for how the reef was being degraded that you throw up your hands and say, oh God, I can't do, what am I going to do? Because you can't change the temperature or salinity of the ocean, right? But so the question is, how do you convert something into a positive thing? I mean, the hard part is, even if you work for the Sierra Club or Nature Conservancy and you're buying large tracts of land and putting it aside, what happens when a country goes to war and there goes your piece of land because the regime changes? That's kind of depressing. So how do you make a positive out of being a non-typical consumer? There's the question. These are things that are going to face you. For Milton and I, it's too late. We're over the hill. We're ready for the green pasture, right? No? Right, Milton? Sort of. Yeah. So for us, we've been so entrenched as consumers and living our life a certain way, and our behavior's kind of fixed at this point. You're going to really have to challenge yourself, because by 2050, there will be 9.6 billion people on Earth. 9.6 billion, that's about a third more than we have now. And the Earth is going to have to grow 34% more food in order just to meet the needs of that population. How many people think the Earth is going to be able to produce 34% more food? Which includes not growing food for beef anymore, because beef consumes more too much energy. We're not going to make it. Which continents are going to die off first? Anybody know? Africa and Asia. Population growth is spiraling here. There's already projections of a mass die-off in those two continents because of lack of just basic necessities, which is water and food. How many people think that water is going to be a big commodity in the future? It's going to be probably more valuable than gold. Yeah, there are large entities that are worth billions of dollars that are buying up water rights right now as we speak, because the belief in the future is that water is going to be more precious than anything else on Earth. After all, what can you do? Well, you can continue to desalinate, right? Take water out of the ocean. Assume the ocean's not polluted. because the water you get out of the ocean, you know, desalinates and be full of toxins. So water is going to be a big commodity. So you guys are faced with these huge challenges. I may be around by 2050, I think. Maybe. If I keep my health well. But I'm not sure I want to be around with 9.6 billion people on Earth. The thing is that consider yourselves as you walk out of here how important you are as far as influencing the future of the Earth. What percentage of people go to a college like this, the UC College, compared to all the other colleges in the world? How many people don't even get to college in the world? What percentage are you as far as the total population? Maybe you're already in the top 1%, because just the fact that you come from a background of resources, etc. So you are highly influential. I would encourage all of you to do some soul searching and figure out what type of impact you're going to have on the Earth as you leave today, and what your lifestyle is going to represent. If you go to work for Jet Propulsion's laboratory and you produce a new jet engine that uses less fuel, is that what you really want on your epitaph? When everybody signs your picture saying that you work for General Dynamics, and everybody signs your engineering picture, and you take it home, you put it on the wall, you think, oh God, I was a great engineer, and I helped create a better space shuttle? Maybe, but is that really going to change 9.6 billion people on Earth? Help feed them? Or there's the question. See, there's the question. Milton and I probably have our own viewpoint, but I think there's going to be a mass die-off that just comes from microbial infections. We're looking at highly mutated forms of bacteria that can't work, even just forms of antibiotics can keep up with them, as well as very strong, shall we say, viral strains that viruses that are incredible as far as surviving. I don't know what all that means, but you guys have to grapple with this. Don't walk away and pretend that this presentation didn't exist, because the numbers don't lie. Statistically, the numbers don't lie what's going to happen to our Earth. Anybody have any other questions? I hope you realize, by the way, this presentation was to get you to think that it's nothing personal, but you are simply a marketing target to extract money out of your pocket. That's all you are. Nothing personal. Any other thoughts, ideas? Revelations? Okay, well, thank you.